to believe it's already been a year since we were talking about BioShock Infinite, Mario 3D World, and Gone Home, but here we are. I'm really happy with the games on my list, though seeing all the other Beards picks made me realize how much gaming I missed out on. Captain Toad, Mario Kart, Bayonetta. I plan on playing all of those as soon as I can. For now, here are my favorite video games from 2014. Number 10. Titanfall. Mech suits, parkour with jump jets, twitch shooting that harkens back to the days of Unreal Tournament Morpheus Instagib, and maps with the verticality of Quake 3 Arena. Maybe nothing that hasn't been done before. But then Titanfall throws pilotable/pet modable mechs and creeps? Sure, creeps into the mix. The set of systems that make up the gameplay are just a stellar work of design. Unfortunately, the usual trappings of many AAA multiplayer FPS games push it down on my list. No dedicated servers, no way to pick a specific map you want to play, only a small set of maps to be expanded by expensive DLC on top of an already $60 game. There's a disconnect between how I want to get into a multiplayer FPS game and the way Titanfall lets me. Number 9. Mario Golf World Tour. If you listen to our podcast, you're probably aware of my boundless love for golf games. Golf ? Worms Crazy Golf, Vertiginous Golf, Desert Golfing, Everybody's Golf, Pangya? Anyway, I played a lot of Toadstool Tour for the GameCube in college. I mean a lot. The decade wait for World Tour was long, yes, but worth it. The 3DS is the perfect platform, and it's got great online functionality that we would not have seen before now. It's a puzzle game, it's a timing game, it's a physics game. Factoring in the wind, terrain, and elevation of a hole, then timing my shot to have perfect accuracy and just the right distance so the super backspin drops the ball for an eagle from 150 yards. Mario Golf lets you be a sniper. It lets you feel like you just pulled off the most badass combo in Street Fighter. Unless you press A too late and shank it. Number 8. Transistor. As most of Supergiant's games are, Transistor is confident and bold. In art direction, design, mechanics, story, music, they all stand out. I was back and forth on how I felt about the combat in Transistor. Did I like it? I loved the mix and match framework that allowed for experimentation with attack power combinations. It's a really smart design. But even after tailoring that to my likings, I struggled with the combat at times and didn't find it satisfying. Did it need to be, though? You assume the role of a pop opera singer who is thrust into battle wielding a sword almost as big as she is. Had I breezed through the battles, would I have felt disconnect from the story? In the end, the combat is forgiving enough. In the end, Transistor is a good old love story. And I love a good old love story. Number 7. Octodad, Deadliest Catch. It's amazing that the control scheme for Deadliest Catch works as well as it does. The developers, Young Horses, are to be commended on that front alone. 4 limbs of a physics-based octopus never felt so right. Not that you won't be bumping into things and raising people's suspicions as your boneless body snakes through the freezer section of a grocery store to grab a pizza. It's a story about becoming comfortable in your own skin, about being true to yourself. Among the cartoonish art and characters in one of the goofiest fun levels I've ever played, there's an endearing story to be had with Octodad, Deadliest Catch. Number 6. Fractosc. The world you're dropped into in Fract is an impressive place. A huge cavern with mystical neon technology littering the landscape, most only emitting a glow or activating shape-changing mechanisms when you approach them. I often talk about the Dark Souls games being truly immersive because you are dropped into a world without a map, a list of objectives, or any guidance at all. The same applies to Fract, and you'll get out of it what you put into it. It's up to you to explore, to decipher the cryptic transport system, to uncover the various puzzles and how the world shifts from you solving them. It's a game for fiddlers. Did I mention the entire game has a layer of fantastic electronica music composed by the great Mogi Grumbles that encompasses everything? On top of that, Phosphine Systems and Richard Flanagan have done some incredible visual design and art direction that's a wonder to just dim the lights and roam through. Number 5, Lovely Planet. Quick Tequila has a hell of a debut game on their hands here. 15 hours for $6 is a damn fine return on investment. Not that games should be judged by hours of play, but for something I picked on a whim for the Illiterate's Book Club, 15 hours of 100% fun and getting the number 5 game for my Game of the Year list is goddamn incredible. Lovely Planet has such tightly tuned controls and level design that I hold alongside Spelunky and Super Meat Boy. If you're like me and played around with the Quake 3 trick jumping mod Defrag, you'll feel right at home. It's a challenge, for sure, to have pinpoint accuracy while dodging enemy attacks and controlling your movement around the levels, but man oh man, is it satisfying when you nail down that 3-star run. You may sometimes think, this is impossible! But with its rapid repetition training, you'll quickly become a lovely legend on the leaderboards. Number 4, the Telus Principle. From screaming headless bomb guys and a cannon-wielding protagonist, to a robot hearing the voice of God while uncovering what humanity actually means, who knows what Crow Team will be up to next. Sure, the Almighty's words are booming, but the Telus Principle is quiet, clean, uncomplicated, refreshingly so. The puzzle design and ramp of difficulty is ace, and there's some really fiendish secrets involving cross-pollinating puzzles by, say, linking a laser over the bounding wall of one puzzle to a relay device hidden high in a tree back down to a different puzzle in the same area. It's great. I think what initially made me leap at the Telus Principle was seeing that one of the writers was Tom Hubert, who wrote for FTL as well as one of my favorite games from 2013, The Swapper. As you might imagine, there's a large philosophical side to the game, which you can largely ignore if you want to, but I found it highly enjoyable to sink my teeth into the many texts you're able to access throughout the game. There's a big heart here, and the Telus Principle is definitely worth playing. Number 3, Divinity Original Sin. It's been a long time since I've played a game like this. Original Sin remains a classic CRPG with many nods to its predecessors, while at the same time stepping out of that shadow and setting a new bar. The game manages to be charming all around while maintaining extensive levels of depth. I keep trying to wrap my head around how so many moving parts work nearly flawlessly together. Let's talk about what I love the most about Divinity Original Sin, the turn-based combat. It's consistently fun, and the battles are varied with different landscapes, obstacles, and elemental interactions that force you to stay on your toes and come up with different strategies. All of this spills over into exploration as well. Dungeons have devious traps to be mindful of. Divinity Original Sin offers you an open world to do with what you will. Stay on track of the murder you're investigating, or break off and find a tavern cat's lost collar. Liberate elemental leaders from the cold grasp of King Boreas, or help Cedric the Entertainer, I'm not kidding, win his audience back from the other guy with the talking bodiless head. Number 2, Middleearth, Shadow of Mordor. Did you ever play Soldier of Fortune, the first-person shooter by Raven Software that came out in 2000 and had something called the Ghoul Engine that let you shoot individual limbs and even pieces of face off of enemies? Anyway, Shadow of Mordor is the most violent game I played this year, though the freakish black-blooded Uruks are a perfect avenue for not feeling guilty about the thousands of them that are brutalized, maimed, and murdered during my time with the game. You've heard by now how it works. Batman combat, standard stealth action, RPG elements with an upgrade system for new abilities and powers. It's so dang easy to have fun while playing. And I can't state how much the Nemesis system makes this game, allowing you to forge your own dynamic stories while you play through the provided content. Enemies that live, breathe, and become more powerful as you do the same. I think just as Mordor borrowed, we'll hopefully be seeing a lot of borrowing of Mordor's Nemesis system in the future. Number 1, Alien Isolation. Door closed, lights off, hard mode, headphones on. I went all in with my favorite game this year. I jumped, I held my breath, I shut my eyes and prayed, the tension in my body visible from a mile away. Alien Isolation is courageous, risky, flawed. Creative Assembly have expertly transferred every aspect of the original Alien movie into video game form. The atmosphere, the stress, the clunky lo-fi technology, the sense of dread that comes with every unexpected sound that may or may not have come from that clunky lo-fi technology. It's interesting that some of my most memorable gaming moments this year came from dynamic systems. Sweet revenge on an Uruk captain from the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor, barely evading the free-roaming AI alien through an entire section, only to make a rookie mistake and end up with a xenomorph tail through my abdomen, just feet away from a save station. Alien Isolation has both my favorite protagonist this year, Amanda Ripley, and my favorite antagonist this year, the Alien. Put that together with a game that made me feel genuinely terrified, and you've got my top pick for 2014.